woman heard strange sounds from her grandfather's old guitar. When she opened it and saw inside, she started crying. When Sarah Blake got her grandfather's old guitar after he passed away, she didn't think much of it. She planned to sell it with some other old things he had left behind. But while she was packing it away, the guitar hit the edge of the table, and something inside made a strange rattling sound. Sarah had played guitar a little when she was younger, and she knew that noise wasn't normal. She looked closer and saw glue marks around the edges, like someone had sealed the back of the guitar on purpose. Feeling curious, Sarah grabbed a few tools and started to carefully open it. She worked slowly until the old glue finally broke apart, but the moment she looked inside, she burst into tears. Sarah sat on the floor for a long time, staring at what she had found inside the old guitar. Her hands were shaking and her eyes stayed wide and wet with tears. Inside the hollow body of the guitar was a small cloth pouch tied with a string. It was old and faded, but it hadn't turned to dust. She had pulled it out slowly, unsure of what she was even holding. It felt soft on the outside, but inside it was stiff and flat like paper. She untied the string and opened the pouch carefully. Inside were several folded documents and a small note. The first thing she noticed was the handwriting. She recognized it instantly. It was her grandfather's. His writing was always neat and careful, just like the way he played music. The note was short, written in blue ink on yellow paper. It said, "If you're reading this, I hope you waited until you needed it. This is for you when the music stops and you need to begin again. Granddad." Sarah blinked hard. Her breath caught in her throat. She set the note down and slowly unfolded the first document. Her heart started beating faster. It was a share certificate. At first, she didn't understand what it meant. She looked at the top, Peachtree Instruments Limited, dated 9th. Then she opened the next one. It was for Western Sound Engineering, also from the 9th, and then a third. This one was different. It said Marshall Audio Holdings, and it was marked Preferred Shares. She didn't know much about stocks, but she recognized some of the names. Her grandfather had once mentioned Peachtree in passing when talking about the first speaker system he ever bought. She opened her laptop and began to type each name into a search engine. One by one, they came up. Big companies now, major players in the music tech world. And her grandfather owned original shares from decades ago. Sarah couldn't stop shaking. She searched up vintage stock certificates value and started scrolling. The numbers were unbelievable. One share in Marshall Audio alone was worth over $50,000 in today's money if it was authentic. And her grandfather hadn't just left one, he had left 20. She called her brother immediately. "You need to come over," she said, barely able to speak. When he arrived and saw everything spread out on the table, his mouth dropped open. He picked up the note and read it twice. "I don't believe it," he said. "He never talked about this." "He didn't have to," Sarah replied quietly. "He knew we'd find it when the time was right." They decided to visit a financial advisor to confirm everything. They packed the certificates carefully and made an appointment the next day. The advisor, a man in his 60s with glasses and a calm voice, looked at the documents for a long time. He handled them like rare artifacts. Then he smiled gently. "These," he said, "are not only real, they've split multiple times over the years. You're not just holding shares, you're holding decades of compounded value. Your grandfather was very smart." Sarah asked what it all meant. The advisor leaned back in his chair and said, "It means you're looking at a life-changing inheritance, maybe even millions." She covered her mouth and started crying again. It was too much to take in. Later that evening, she sat with her mom and showed her everything. Her mom was quiet for a long time. Then she started to laugh softly. "Your grandfather always said music would take us further than we expected. I just didn't know he meant this literally." Sarah looked at the guitar, now resting on a towel on the floor. She still couldn't believe that something so broken, so dusty and forgotten, had held something so valuable inside it all along. It felt like a secret message, like her grandfather was still speaking to her. She remembered how he used to play the same soft tune over and over when she was little. He called it his thinking song. She had always loved sitting at his feet, listening to the sound echo gently through the living room. Now she realized that song had probably been played dozens of times with the shares hidden right inside the guitar. He had trusted her to find them when the time came. But what touched her even more than the money was the thought behind it. Her grandfather hadn't wanted to leave them cash in a bank account. He had chosen something personal, something only someone who truly loved and understood him would find. The guitar was the perfect hiding place, not just because it was clever, but because it was meaningful. It was part of their shared history. Over the next few days, Sarah met with lawyers and accountants. The process was long, and there were papers to sign and verifications to complete. But everything checked out. Her grandfather had left behind more than just music. He had left behind a gift, one that would help her start over. She used part of the money to pay off her student loans and help her mom with medical bills. She gave her brother enough to start his dream recording studio, but she didn't stop there. She took the rest and did something unexpected. She reopened her grandfather's old music shop, the one that had been closed for years. She fixed it up, painted the walls the same soft blue he once loved, and reopened it as Herald Strings. She began giving guitar lessons to kids in the neighborhood, using the same gentle style her grandfather had used to teach her. She hung the old guitar in a glass case near the entrance, right next to a framed copy of the note he had left inside it. People came from all over to hear the story. The guitar with the secret treasure, the man who hid a fortune not in gold but in memory, music, and love. Sarah always told them the same thing. He didn't want to make us rich. He wanted to remind us what really matters. Years passed, but Sarah never took the note out of the frame. Every time she looked at it, she felt like he was still close, watching, smiling, still playing that quiet tune in the background. And sometimes, late at night when the shop was quiet and the lights were low, she would take one of the guitars from the wall, sit by the window, and play his song. She never played it for an audience, just for him. And in those quiet moments, she didn't need to speak, because she knew he had already said everything he needed to say, hidden in 6 strings, a hollow body, and the kind of love that lives long after the music ends.